Today we're going to have a conversation with Andrew Ceglio, one of the stars of Cabrillo stage.
Thanks for having me today, John.
And you and Ariel did a number of shows with us, but probably the one that was closest to my heart that you both did was the last 5 years.
Mhm.
And I just thought that that was a beautiful production. Again, done in the black box theater, only two characters. I believe there were seven in the orchestra, and they were behind kind of a filmy. So there was very few props, very few costumes, very few anything. And I think the director just kind of let you guys go. You studied the work yourselves, and in a lot of ways, it was that freedom where we really saw you and Ariel. I think in the piece, and that must have been a highly emotional, difficult piece to do, but also it's got to be a high point in your career, I would assume.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, well, first of all, to be able to, share the stage with, well, now Ariel Dooley, formerly Ariel Buck,
Right.
to be able to share the stage with somebody of her caliber at any time is just an extreme pleasure, an honor.
Jamie is over and Jamie's gone. Jamie's decided it's time to move on. Jamie's got new dreams he's building upon. And I'm still hurting. Jamie arrived at the end of the line. Jamie is convinced that the problems are mine. Jamie is probably feeling just fine. And I'm still hurting. What about lies, Jamie? What about things you swore to be true? What about you, Jamie? What about you?
To then also have, you know, Mickey McGushin and all of the pit members, these amazing musicians right there behind you. It's just, I mean, it's hard to put it into words.
Yeah.
When I hear people talk about when they've done that show, and I don't presume to judge, anybody for, for how they interpret material. But whenever I hear somebody be like, "Oh, I had such a blast playing in that, being in that show, playing that role," there's a part of me that goes, "Oh, well, you probably didn't do it correctly then," because I gotta say, it was such a challenge because it was. It's not a happy show. I mean, I'll never forget when Max Bennett Parker came and saw it, and he was like, "Good job." Afterwards, he was like, I really love what you guys did." He was like, "I don't want to say that I enjoyed myself, but he was like, I really liked it, but that was the story is just, ugh, it's awful. It's gut wrenching. It's like, you don't go and see Arthur Miller's, The Crucible to feel good,
Yeah.
to feel happy. And because it was semi-autobiographical about Jason Robert Brown's life, it was a very eye-opening, but also tumultuous process. And I think you probably remember even up till, actually, I remember right up until opening night. I think it was the night before preview. There was a very intricate lighting design that at the time Kevin Johnston, who him and Molly Ann Maxner, who was the director, man, they just worked so hard on this very segmented lighting plot that would isolate us in these certain moments really gorgeous, really utilized everything. And they found that for whatever reason, the show wasn't working. It was hard for the message, the information to be conveyed. And so one night they tried it. And I don't know if you know this, but the night that they tried this, they actually surprised us and didn't tell us.
Oh, I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah. And
I knew
which,
we were going to do that because we were just saying it's distracting.
yeah,
We want to see the acting. It was all about your acting and
yeah.
singing.
Well, they wanted, and and I think that's, that there are some directors who really believe in this, this sort of method, and others that don't. And but as an actor, for me, I wasn't, and maybe I can speak for Ariel, but we weren't a fan of being surprised like that. Although I get what they were going for,
Oh,
but
wow.
they came onto us and they were like, so lighting's going to be a little different tonight. So just roll with it and do what you guys do. And we were like, great, cool, awesome, we got this. All right, here we go, opening week. So we get on stage, hit our first moments. The lights are isolated for our entrances. And then, as opposed to these isolated portions of the stage, which we were used to moving in and out of with our characters, all of a sudden, the lights just all came up. And I remember feeling both of mine and Ariel's energy go, what the hell is, wait a minute.
Was this in front of an audience?
No, it was not. It was not. I know they wouldn't do that to us like that. It was but it was our final dress. But we had been rehearsing for weeks of like, okay, now you come into the light, you do this, right? Now, and then to go to, you're going to be seen no matter what, it changes your game. And we're on there for 90 minutes, no intermission, right? So, and I remember thinking to myself, okay, here we go. And Ariel was up first, and I could feel her energy. We just had to use it at that point. But what we found, and what the production team found, was that it was the best possible choice, because it was exactly what you said. It was, we want to see everything. I want to see the strings. And for whatever reason, bringing the lights up just made the elements of the story that were very confusing much clearer. But yeah, one of my favorite stories was that night, and how we got done, we got off stage, and we're pumped up, we're going down the hallway, and I turned around to Ariel and I was like, well, that was interesting. But because we just had to surrender ourselves, and we used it, and it was probably one of the better run-throughs that we did, albeit we were kind of pissed off, but we were like, we just went for it, man. Yeah. It was but it was a beautiful moment, and a really wonderful process sharing that with Ariel. And as I'm sure you saw from the Good Times thing, she speaks very specifically about, because we were romantically involved at that time. Mm-hmm. And she talked about how everybody was worried that it was going to break us up and everything. Well, the interesting thing is that it did bring us closer together.
Yeah.
Doing that show, we were able to be more honest with ourselves and each other, because we were kind of facing what these characters had to go through, and we had to be honest with ourselves as performers. And it did bring us closer together. The beautiful theatrical irony of it all is that a year later we parted ways romantically.
Yeah.
Yeah. But to this day, she's still one of my best friends. We talk and text all the time, and she's happily married, and and out there in Chicago. And but it's that show was so special for so many different reasons, and but mainly it was because I got to share it with a very special person and a colleague, and someone who to this day is somebody that I will always respect, and is one of my best friends.
The reason why that show is so gut-wrenching to me and to a lot of people is because this is what we go through in life, right? Each relationship has a beginning and has an ending, and there's very few that end the way, end at the end.
Yeah.
And so to watch these people go through the exact same neurosis that we all go through with relationships and the crazy stuff, I think that's the I think that's the reason why it's just difficult to watch. I mean, I don't want to watch a relationship that I had. It would just, it's gut wrenching. On the other hand, it's just presented so beautifully. I think that's why the show and the music is just gorgeous.
There are people, and they are publishing my book, and there's a party that they are throwing. And while you've made it very clear that you're not going, I will be going, and that's done. But what's it really about? Is it really about a party, Cathy? Can we please for a minute stop blaming and say what you feel? Is it just that you're disappointed to be touring again for the summer? Did you think this would all be much easier than it's turned out to be? Well then talk to me, Cathy. Talk to me. If I didn't believe in you, we'd never have gotten this far. If I didn't believe in you and all of the 10,000 women you are, if I didn't think you could do anything you ever wanted to, if I wasn't certain that you'd come through somehow. The fact of the matter is, Cathy, I wouldn't be standing here now.
Oh, the music in itself, honestly, is, I mean, the music is the main character. You know, the starring role is the music, and I think all of you and Mickey in particularly understood that.
Yes.
We actually had one rehearsal where Molly Maxner allowed us to just sit and listen to the orchestra play the music without us singing.
Yeah.
And they dimmed the lights for us, and Ariel and I sat on the little metal structure on the little metal bed thing, and we were able to roam around, and we just absorbed ourselves in the composition. And it really, you could take us out completely and understand exactly what was happening in the relationship and where we were based on what was happening in the music, the parallels. It is phenomenal, and makes it that much more gut-wrenching.
I want to thank you, Andrew Ceglio, for talking to us today, and we will be back with you on other subjects very, very soon. Once again, thanks again for being one of the stars of Cabrillo Stage.
Thank you, John. It's a pleasure to be here.
Behind the scenes in the last 5 years, I'm here with Ariel Buck and Andrew Ceglio, who have been great performers here at Cabrillo. So this is an amazing show, folks. It's sort of deep and hypnotic and full of lots of music. So can you explain a little bit about what the show is about and what audiences are seeing?
All right. Well, it is a song cycle, which means it's a series of story songs explaining the journey between my character and Andrew's character in our 5-year relationship, from our first date to the day he packs up and leaves. But the twist is I go backwards. I start at the end of the relationship and move forward, and Andrew starts at the beginning and well, no, I go backwards and he goes forward. And then we meet in the middle at our wedding and go from there.
One of the most challenging things of all is that you know, there's usually you have within a show you have real time taking place. You know, it's like the next day going, this is spanning over 5 years. So we have so many moments where we jump from one significant moment in 1 year to a completely different one. And within that as well, we also take part in each other's songs. So we're also jumping either forward or backward in time depending on what the other character is doing. So it really, one of the biggest challenges is transitionally and emotionally to be able to get yourself to that pivotal moment. And all of these songs in here, they're pivotal moments in the story and in the journey over these 5 years. So the stakes are very high. So, you know, you have to go from being bright and chipper to all of a sudden being just in this place of just, you know, tumultuous torture. And so mentally and emotionally, that's probably the biggest challenge of getting yourself there appropriately to where you can convey it to the audience.
The music, for one thing, is the richest thing about the show. It was written by Jason Robert Brown. Actually, this piece is semi-autobiographical from his first marriage, and the music was written with such. The music and the emotion of the piece are so united that it draws you in.
I think Ariel really hit it on the head, and on top of the music and the score being united, you know, the music is like its own character all on its own. I think, you know, within that, like Ariel was saying, I mean, you could take us out of the equation, listen to all of the beautiful orchestrations, and really understand emotionally what's happening at that point in the story.
The show is called The Last 5 Years, but you two share in real life a similar number, 5. And can you illuminate us?
We're actually we're in our 5th year, fifth summer as a couple.
It's actually been really great. You know, everybody, when we first decided to do this piece, everybody was, you know, worried that it was going to break us up and seep into our relationship. And it's actually brought us closer together, just kind of working through these really deep emotional issues together, and figuring this piece out has really kind of brought us closer together as a couple.
Okay, that was really good for me. Congratulations and congratulations. Go see The Last 5 Years at Cabrillo Stage. Amazing show.
I was talking to Andrew Ceglio, and almost every comment that he made in talking about it, both emotionally in terms of the arc of the story, you know, both arcs of the story backwards and forth and everything like that, was brilliantly captured and enhanced by the music. And I have to feel that too. That was an agonizing show to watch in many ways. You know, I mean, it's hard to watch that show because it's part of maybe all of our lives in some way or other. It's interesting, so it grabs your mind. I agree with Andrew. I think more than 50% of that was the music. He even said, he told the story about how they took out almost all the lighting cues. Tell us about the orchestra and a little bit about the music in that show.
It's a very ethereal piece, and like, well, there are so many moments in it, but you're right. Like the theme that opens the show and comes back at the end almost feels kind of like an old-timey American love song, parlor song.
Is it a waltz?
Yeah, it's a waltz, totally.
Yeah.
And yet he weaves it in so beautifully. And when Andrew's character Jamie sings with it at the end of the show, it's like, wow, you know, it's now become something totally different. But yeah, then there was this shimmer. I really think that the music in that show really shimmers. I mean, it's got drive, it's got passion, but really I think about the way it shimmered in that middle point in the show where the two stories come together. I think is so almost chillingly beautiful because of that sort of shimmering, watery, impressionistic character it takes on as the two sort of pass each other. And I think music is brilliant, and I think those characters are brilliant too, and Andrew and Ariel dream.
Will you share your life with me for the next 10 minutes? For the next 10 minutes, we can handle that. We could watch the waves, we could watch the sky, or just sit and wait as the time takes by. And if we make it till then, could I ask you again for another 10? And if you in turn agree to the next 10 minutes, and the next 10 minutes, till the morning comes, then just holding you might compel me to ask you for more. There are so many lives I need to share with you. I will never be complete until I do.
I am not always on time. Please don't expect that from me. I will be late, but if you can just wait, I'll make it eventually. Not like it's in my control, not like I'm proud of the fact, but anything other than being exactly on time I can do. I don't know why people run. I don't know why things fall through. I don't know how anybody survives in this life without someone like you. I could protect and preserve. I could say no and goodbye. But why, Jamie, why? I want to be your wife. I want to be your child. I want to die knowing I belong fully in your arms. That I can do.
And then I think part of what you were saying earlier with the lights, I really think that Molly's idea of that production, keeping it so simple
Yeah.
and so spare, really allowed the music to speak. I really feel like she created a space for those characters and that music to be experienced in a really intimate, visceral way. She didn't get in the way of it. I'm not saying it's unique to that show, but this show needs that. It's an intellectually challenging show, and some people find that difficult. But if you're gonna feel the emotion of that show, then you don't want a lot of baggage. You want to just be there with those characters
Yep.
and with that music, and not have a lot of stuff thrown at you. It's in no way a song and dance show. It's an intimate piece of
Story.
chamber theater. Yeah,
It's a story told backwards and forwards, inside and out.
yeah,
Director, you were talking about Molly Maxner.
Yeah.
And of course, despite all that we've just talked about, the most incredible thing about that show was not only the actors, but the relationship between them. Andrew and
Yeah,
Ariel were totally believable in
yeah,
everything in that.
yeah.
And
No,
you found yourself,
I was frightened for them sometimes because they
yes, I
were.
know. They
It's
were
like,
frightened for them, but
yeah,
their relationship even grew after that, you know.
yeah. But I was
So
like, "Are you sure this is okay? Or can we do this?" You know.
Andrew says everybody was saying that to them, you know, so it worried him a little, you know.
Yeah, those two individuals, and then yeah, that relationship, I think, made that show so powerful, so potent.
Yeah,
So yeah, it
great.
was dream. That was it. That was dream team.
Yeah, yeah. Well, Mickey, it's been great to have this opportunity to speak with you, and I'm sure that we'll get you back on here again when we talk about a couple of the other shows that you've done. But for
Great.
now, this has been fantastic. Thanks for being here.
Likewise. Thanks for having me, John. Miss everybody.
Yeah, me too. Next time on episode 12, join Janie and the cast as they take a trip backstage and behind the scenes where we relive the fun of our 2013 production of La Cage aux Folles. All this and more on the Stars of Cabrillo stage.